What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. Good afternoon, everybody. We got a second video today. Cool, because this morning I went live and I didn't really have much to talk about. Now, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. So come on in, guys. Come on in. Throw some likes and some loves and some shares and some comments on this video. Let's hang out for a little while. Hopefully some people are free and can come hang out with me live. If you're not watching live, drop a hashtag replay in the comments and still hang out with me. So, big stuff going on out there. Big stuff going on in Washington here in this country right now. Legislation has just passed, or actually just passed yesterday, which made me raise an eyebrow if this was real or not. Apparently, on April Fool's Day, they passed legislation to federally legalize marijuana in America. Crazy. Now, that doesn't mean marijuana is federally legal right now. That just means it passed the House of Representatives. The legislation has passed. It will now go on to the Senate. It has to pass there with 60 votes before it can go over to Mr. Joe Biden's desk to get signed in as an official anything. But as of right now, all kinds of stuff going on. News feeds blowing up here. Representative Don Bayer says the House just passed legislation to federally legalize marijuana. The bill introduced by Representative Jerry Nadler would also retroactively expunge past convictions, a major and long overdue advance for criminal justice reform. I voted yes. The final vote count is below. And the final vote count was very close, 220 to 204. 220 voted yes. 204 voted no. What's up, you guys? Good afternoon, everybody. Throw some hearts up on this video. Throw some thumbs up on this video. Let me know how you're doing today. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know where you're watching from or something like that in the comments. Facebook doesn't always tell me who's watching. Share this video out if you don't mind. And let's talk about this. Let me hear your view on this. What do you think about marijuana being decriminalized and marijuana being legalized? Myself, cannabis has been a big helper for my recovery. I do see some posts on here about, let me see if I can find exactly what I'm talking about. I found a news article where they did express concern over cannabis being a gateway drug, which, as we've discussed here in The Point of Change, is actually a misquote in the original from the original person that did that research that was done. Her original findings did not say that cannabis was the gateway drug. Her original findings said that nicotine was the gateway to addiction, is what she originally had said. But she also did say some things that, said that marijuana was contributed to, or was one of the first drugs, that illegal street drugs that people used. But her actual findings were that nicotine was the big connection that was a gateway drug. Since then, she has actually come back out and retracted any comments towards marijuana. Let me see if I can find this exact article here. I think I found it. Okay, this is from Fox News. Going down. Republicans who oppose the measure said marijuana is a gateway drug that would lead to greater use of opioids and other dangerous substances. They also said the pot sold today is far more potent than what was sold decades ago, leading to greater impairment for those who use it. They said decriminalization is not the priority that lawmakers should be focused on now, with the war in Ukraine and inflation's driving up the cost of gas, food, and other essential items. Let's dissect this. Right away, their first statement, many of us here at The Point of Change would disagree with that opening statement. Marijuana is a gateway drug that would lead to greater use of opioids and other dangerous substances. Myself and so many people here at The Point of Change would disagree with that. And that's not just people saying it. Yes, those are experience-based accounts, but there's science to back this, that cannabis can help you step away from opioids and can help you step away from those other substances. It can help alleviate the symptoms of withdrawal and symptoms of detox, and can help a person push through the symptoms of pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome. Months after they've been in recovery, when they start having those cravings again, marijuana has been a big helper in reducing those cravings and those urges to go back to those original drugs, the drugs of abuse that were destroying us. Cannabis shows amazing signs at helping with addiction. They also said the pot sold today is far more potent than what was sold decades ago. Very true, leading to greater impairment for those who use it. Yes, I suppose for those who are abusing it, yes, it leads to greater impairment. For those of us who are using it, legitimately using it for real purposes, especially medicinally, but I understand this as we're talking recreationally and medicinally. I understand that as well. But for those of us who use this medicinally, in some cases, those the fact that it's more potent is so much more helpful, because you can get a greater, bigger dose of the medication to the person at once, which is awesome. And you can have the effects of the medication with just a small amount of the medication and have the same effect as like 20 years ago. You would have had to smoke a whole joint to get the effects you can get from just a tiny edible or from just one hit. Nowadays, I can see why you would think that could be, you could use that as a negative, but you could also use that as a positive, Let's see. And this last part, I hate this. I hate this when they do this deflection. They always do this deflection when it comes to legalizing cannabis, when it comes to decriminalizing cannabis, when it comes to legalizing it on a federal level, whenever it comes up, they do this deflection where they put the focus back on the other things that are happening in the world, which is ridiculous on many different fronts. But on the front that I hate on is the fact that cannabis is a Schedule I drug and listed that it has no medicinal purposes whatsoever. That's ridiculous. That's completely ridiculous, and it's a lie, and we all know it's a lie. And if you're not willing to take a minute to just take care of that lie and change that, that's ridiculous that they haven't done it yet. It should have been done a long time ago. So why are they still going, getting around it and not addressing that issue? But they always deflect, and they said the decriminalization is not the priority that lawmakers should be focused on now, with the war in Ukraine and inflation's driving up the cost of gas and food and other essential items. Right away, they deflect to other issues that are going on in this country to make you feel bad because you're talking about weed at a time like this. How dare you at a time like this? There's always wars going on, man. There's always people starving, man. There's always shit going on in this world that we could address before we talk about legalizing cannabis, man. But you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's get it done, because it needed to happen a long freaking time ago. And honestly, in my opinion, and in many people's opinions, and the facts even show that if you took care of this little issue, it would take care of a lot of the other problems. Or it wouldn't take care of a lot of the other problems, but it would help a lot of the other problems. But they're not looking at it as that. They're just looking at it as this isn't the issue we're talking about, What else was I going to talk about in this article that I see here? Oh, there was other stuff that recently happened that totally flew out under the radar here. Was that the Senate actually recently passed a bill to cut a lot of the red tape around the research process for marijuana and marijuana-derived medications. That happened back in March, right at the end of March 24th. So just not that long ago. Actually passed the Senate. So, that's actually legislation passing, that they are allowing more and more research into marijuana, which is something that I think both sides can agree on, whether you are pro-marijuana or against marijuana. I think all of us can agree that there needs to be more research done. There needs to be more research done on cannabis and on cannabis-related things, on cannabis derivatives, things like that. Not not just research into new ways to use it either, which seems to be what happens every time they get into researching cannabis. We just come up with a new way, a new form of cannabis. Look at us, we made cannabis drinks. I think I think it would be really cool if they can get some actual research done on dosage levels and on what mental illnesses cannabis is really, really good for, and what levels of dosage you need to be on for those mental health issues. Right now, there's not a lot of research on that. There's, cannabis affects each individual differently, and it also affects you differently depending on if you take a low dose or a high dose. So it's interesting, and it's also, I'm really looking forward to the future of the research of cannabis and finding out what do they suggest? If someone is suffering with anxiety, should they be low dosing? Should they be high dosing? Should they be, whatever? Should they be using sativa? Should they be using indica? Should they be doing a hybrid? Should they be using flower? Should they be using a wax concentrate? Should they be doing edibles? Like, all of these are things that can be researched, and we can then understand a little bit better on how to take care of people with this amazing plant that has all of these awesome medicinal purposes and can be used in amazing ways. But it's just since it's been listed as a Schedule 1 drug, they're not allowed to do a lot of research on cannabis. It's just simply a no-go. Whenever you can't grow it, you can't procure it to research it. So therefore, a lot of little laws needed to change in order to get to this point now, where we can now research this plant and find out, and then you can have the medical evidence to back the things that we say, because there are a lot of bold claims out there about cannabis. It's kind of the Wild West of claims about cannabis right now. Like, everybody's got their take on it. Everybody's like, oh, it helps me with this, it helps me with that, it helps you with this, and it helps you with that. But there's not a lot of medical evidence to back everybody's claims that, CBD will help you do this, and marijuana will help you do this, and this will help you do that. Other than evidence or experience-based cases like me and a lot of you guys out here on the Point of Change who have seen this stuff happen in person and who come out here to talk about it. Other than that, there's not a lot of actual scientific research done to say, okay, yes, it is true. It does help with depression, and you need to do this amount of dosage and this amount of levels and use this kind of cannabis in order to get the results, whatever. So that's awesome. That's awesome. There's a lot of forward movement going. A lot of employers, including Amazon, have decided that cannabis no longer bars you from employment. The job I have, that it's cannabis does not bar you from employment at this job. So there's a lot of good things happening right now, a lot of good things. And as of right now, what has happened is this law to federally legalize cannabis and to expunge the records of people who are guilty of nonviolent crimes and have a cannabis record. Your records will be expunged. It has passed the House and it is now going to the Senate. A bill much like this one. This one is called the MORE Act. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act. It's expected to face a lot of resistance at the Senate, is what they're expecting. But honestly, I think the Senate is getting a little more open-minded about this kind of stuff. Obviously, they just passed research on it for medicinal purposes, but it is that recreational level is what's catching the buffer. A lot of people are like, hey, you don't need that for recreational. But well, we could go on about that for a million days, but and we can compare it to alcohol and everything else. But I really feel like marijuana stands on its own. You don't need to compare it to alcohol and say, well, hey, it's better than alcohol or this, that, or the other thing. I feel like it's something that we can address the fact that, it is mood or mind altering, and it can be used recreationally, but it's also medication, and it can be used celebrationally, and it can be used all these different ways. But it's one of those, it's a God-given plant. In my opinion, it's a God-given plant that just grows that way, and I believe everything that comes from the earth, and it's it's what you do with it or how you use it that really determines what's going on. Whether it's a bad thing in your life or a good thing in your life is really up to the person using it. It's not really up to the plant itself. Cannabis in and of itself is not a negative, is not a demonized. It's been so demonized, but it's not a demon. It's not a terrible thing. It's the what and it's the why that people use it. Is in my mind, that's what it really comes down to: is the why are you using it? What are you using it for? Does it help you? Let's see. Liz, this will be a huge tax base for all these states. I don't see what the problem is. Amen, Liz. Amen. Christina, I would much rather see cannabis legalized so people could use it as a medical source instead of using pills and big pharma. Amen. I'm so against big pharma. So am. Brian O'Brien, 5 drunk guys start a fight. 5 stoners start a band. Right on, bro. Right on. Amber, I went back to smoking weed. Helps with my anxiety, my stress and headaches, and my seizures. Right on, Amber. Definitely. Amen. Let's see. Josh, then take care of laws of that. Amen. The laws of the Schedule 1 thing. Yeah, get rid of those, right? First thing is drop the marijuana name that the government gave it back in the day and call it what it really is, and that's cannabis. It's crazy. I have read so many different origins of the term marijuana. I'm not even sure where that term comes from anymore. But I've gone to cannabis. I started calling it cannabis a while ago, and I stick with that. It's cannabis. Marijuana. I don't know. I've seen many different origins. I seen that it was that marijuana is actually a low grade of tobacco that grows in Mexico. It's just a street slang name for that. I've seen that it's actually marijuana derived from a Chinese word. I've seen a bunch of different origin stories on where the word marijuana comes from. So I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. Let's see. Christina, hate big pharma. Amen. Amen. Well, she said hate bug pharma, but let's see. Sue says Chad got the shot and is taking pills. He's doing good. Right on. Good to hear. Josh, cannabis has helped me during my recovery and before. Amen. Let's see. Michael, I smoked it to stay off of the opioids. And I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. Even if we talk to people who are 100% clean and sober today, not saying that they should smoke weed. Hey, if you're clean and sober and that's working for you, awesome. More props to you. Keep going. Don't listen to me. But if you do talk to somebody who's clean and sober and you ask them about their back in their using days, if they were using harder drugs, heroin, pills, cocaine, methamphetamine, things like that, and you ask them about their marijuana use during their addiction, most of the time they'll tell you when they were on the harder drugs, marijuana wasn't even around anymore. It wasn't even like you don't want to smoke weed when you're smoking meth because it'll bring you down. You don't want to smoke weed when you're doing heroin. You'd rather just do more heroin, And when did they use cannabis during their active addiction? For me included. When did I use cannabis when I was in my active addiction? Was when I was coming down to help because you just feel like shit, when you're coming off of drugs, and cannabis has a lot of properties that help during that process. At the time, didn't just thought it was it was taking the edge off back then. But now looking back with the mindset I have these days, I see exactly what it was. It was alleviating the symptoms of withdrawal is what it was doing for me. So to me, that was just a huge, a light bulb goes off when you realize that. Oh, holy shit. Yeah, that's exactly what we were doing when we were coming down and you just wanted to smoke some weed. You're alleviating the symptoms of withdrawal, which is an amazing thing that cannabis can do for drug addicts that are coming off of the hardcore drugs. Let's see. Would never have stopped smoking speed without smoking weed, says Brian. Right on, bro. Right on. Hey, my beautiful girlfriend, my beautiful fiance is back. Aww, that's so awesome. She went down to the nutrition bar. Babe! Yeah? I'll be right back. What's up? I'm doing live. Oh. I'm back. Oh, somebody left. That's all right. And nobody said anything while I was gone? Well, you guys are a quiet crowd today. How's everybody doing? You guys sat here totally patiently. Now I come back and now you leave? What is wrong with my face? I don't understand. I don't get it. I leave the room, left, and only one person leaves. I come back and three more are like, oh, well, now his ass is back. I'm out of here. Oh, gosh, I went inside the store. Right on. He's getting things done. Good. I'm glad you are, man. What do we got going on here today? We're out eating, think we're heading up. Hey, yay, my best friend's coming over. Good. I'm going to hang out with him today. I don't know why. You work on everything you want to work on. We'll leave or something. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for coming to hang out with me. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.